Ryan Ritter of the UT Martin men's basketball team, joining us here back on Skyhawk Sports Talk. After Chris and I thawed out, all of our coaches got to enjoy a snow day, and UT Martin a trip up to Morehead State, and now they're coming back home. 2 home games, one on Thursday against SEMO, and then on Saturday against Lindenwood. Coach, I want to go back, though, to Morehead State. This team is so consistent. They are such a talented basketball team. They're coming off a tough loss. Really a tough opponent for y'all to go up against. And I know that they were upset with how they played against SIUE, and it kind of translated over into the game. They played pretty much lights out.
Yeah, I think they've kind of been the standard of the league the last couple years, and they've got a really quality group again this year. And obviously, we caught them on a night they were really ready to play, and they took their first conference loss at SIUE the previous Saturday, and when the ball tipped up Thursday, I thought they were a little more ready to play than we were, and give them credit. I thought they had a great game plan, and I thought our guys competed in the second half. We just got off to we had an 8-minute spurt that was kind of the deciding factor of the game, and but got to put that one, wear it on the chin, and move forward from it.
I want to go back to at halftime, your message to the guys, because you came out and you outscored them when you could have easily just said, okay, it's their night. Obviously, we're having an off game right now, but you guys came out and, like you said, you competed.
Yeah, I think this is a group that's, we're 18, 19 games in, but we're still figuring out. We're still tinkering with some things, figuring out our defensive identity. And to those guys' credit that played in the second half, I thought they competed their tail off and, showed us some things versatility-wise that we may be able to use moving forward.
Yeah, even in a loss, Coach, you can learn something that's so valuable.
Well, I think you have to learn, or else it's just a loss.
Right, right.
So,
yeah.
I think we're finding out. When I think it's no secret, but putting the maybe not necessarily the most talented guys, but putting the 6, 7, 8 guys that are bought into that defensive side, and kind of moving forward with that approach.
How's it different seeing a team for the first time as opposed to when you're going to see them again later on?
Well, I think there's 2 factors to it. Teams are never going to stay the same. They're either going to get better or they're going to get worse. And so I think, going first round against all these conference opponents, you're kind of seeing who they are at this point in time. Well, there's a lot of time left from now till March. And, teams are going to go one of 2 ways. And so I think it's, whether you're playing them next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you got to be prepared for a better opponent at that time.
Yeah. It was a wacky week, though, in the OVC. Tennessee State, good team. They beat Western Illinois. You had SEMO take down SIUE in a very low-scoring affair. Right now, I don't know how much you look at how the other teams in the league are doing, but your thoughts right now on how the standings are shaping in teams right now.
Well, it's funny. I always pay attention to the scores, but I couldn't tell you who's in 3rd place, 5th place, 7th place because, at this point we're 6 games in, and so much of it has to do with who you've played and where you've played. And, the truth is, like, Western Illinois and Morehead out to a little better start, and then there's just a collection of guys that are anywhere from 3rd to 9th or 10th. I really don't know. But you're right. They're never surprised by the result because there are so many teams that are within a couple possessions of each other.
And you get to this week now. SEMO coming up first. Want to preview them. Tournament champs last year, but you got the best of them twice and then could have met up with them in that OVC tournament final. Having a down year, though, this season, 7-12 and 2-4. They just beat SIUE, as I mentioned. So what are the Red Hawks bringing in on Thursday night?
Well, I think that the record would indicate they're having a down year, right? Well, you're only a possession or 2 away from really turning your season, and you look at them beat a team, SIUE, who quite honestly dominated Morehead. And so it just shows that, SEMO, when they're cranked and they're figuring stuff out, when they get it going, they're just as capable as beating anybody in this league. And, yeah, they're off to a tough start, 2-4, but obviously Coach Korn does a heck of a job, went to the tournament last year. I would think that they're going to start hitting their stride here as things. They're playing a lot of new guys this year with the departures of so many impact players.
And, Coach, I was thinking about this the other day, about how so many teams in the OVC, they like to run an up-tempo style. And the majority of them like to shoot a whole bunch of threes, too. But you have that Morehead State, Western Illinois, and even EIU that will slow things down a bit. Are you seeing some of those up-tempo teams maybe change their game plan when it comes to facing you, or you vice versa that way, too? What does it come like when you get game plan for teams that might look like you or a Morehead State that might be the complete opposite?
That's a great question. I think the really good teams, they're going to be them no matter who they are. No matter the opponent, they're not adjusting to the other opponent. The opponent has to adjust to them. So I do think, there's teams that are don't want to run with us. I think they're trying to slow us down in transition, and obviously Morehead was able to do that. But, a team like SEMO, I think they're going to space the floor. I think they're going to play the way that they typically do. They play in space. They're looking to use ball screens, and So I think the fine line of what are your non-negotiables in terms of offense and defense, and then how are you game planning versus the opponent.
And when a team like those Moorheads that like to slow the game down, when they get in their half-court offense, which you all like to get out and run and get out in the fast break, how do you throw them off their game and speed them up? Because then that upsets them, and they're trying to get shots up and catch up with you as well.
Yeah, well, I think you have to be the aggressor. You have to disrupt tempo, and obviously we aren't able to do that enough on Thursday. But I don't think you can just sit back and watch them run their offense, because it's going to be a display of what happened on Thursday night. You got to be able to throw some punches, mix in some ball screen coverages, mix in some zone, and keep them, without being allow them to not get comfortable in their offense. And I think it's the same way with us. If you can limit us in transition, obviously you got a better chance to slow us down for the full 40 minutes of the game.
And Lindenwood on Saturday, 3:30 tip in that one. They're 7-12, 1-5, but a team that made the OVC tournament last year, and they have one of the premier scorers, Keenan Cole, who's one tough guy to handle.
Yeah, and again, I said it's we're 6 games in. Let's throw out those records. I don't want to look at any of those, because the truth is we just saw it. SEMO was I think what it was 9th or 10th place and beats the first or second place team at that time. So I think we got to throw those out early and just focus on the opponent in front of us. Obviously it's SEMO Thursday. Talking about Lindenwood, they're going to be extremely tough. They have one of the most gifted scorers in the league. So you put that together, and it's going to be a heck of a ball game.
Coach, we had some crazy weather this past week, obviously, even going to Moorhead, quite a bit of snow. Any of your players experiencing that kind of snow for the first time, or anybody affiliated with the team?
So Nashad Mackey, one of our assistant coaches, coached him, obviously at Daytona State, played for my dad. He's from the Bahamas. So he had never seen snow, and he was all fired up. So we went out to his house. He's playing in the snow, and he came in the next day. And I said, man, how'd you like it? And he said, 20 minutes. Overrated. So I think he's got his fill for the year.
The first time I went skiing in Colorado, I felt the same way. This is fun, all the preparation, but it's cold out here, and I don't like this.
No
Have
doubt.
you ever been snow skiing?
I have.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you enjoy it?
I love skiing. I love snowboarding.
Okay.
I love to do it.
You're a
Don't get a
Florida
chance.
guy.
Yeah, we don't get a chance a lot
Wow.
with basketball season, but
Yeah.
maybe one of these days.
And Justice, too. Justice is from Arizona and then went to Hawaii. And then is that the first time he saw snow?
No, he's traveled quite a bit.
Okay.
So he's had the ability to see snow quite a few times, but not probably living in it.
No, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I want to look also, before we let you go, the starting 5 and Jordan and Jacob and what they've been doing this year. You've talked about Jacob just being a winner. I mean, the leadership of those two guys, and I'm seeing Jacob. There's one time Jordan was upset with a call, and Jacob said, all right, man, let me talk to him real quick. And both of them they balance each other so well. How much fun is it coaching those two guys and really this group collectively?
Yeah, I mean, I think those two guys give you a chance to win, every single night, and they're still figuring out each other. It's again they're individually having great years. I don't think we've clicked collectively, but it's not for a lack of effort. I think as we kind of hone in on these 7, 8, 9 guys, they're fun to coach every day. That we've had 2 great practices since Moorhead. No hanging your head and feeling sorry for yourself. We had 2 good ones Saturday, Sunday, and I expect to see a fired up group come Thursday night when we play SEMO.
And that's the thing I love about this group, though, is after a loss, you're always and you're honest. I mean, they are fired up and they're ready to go for the next one. They're not going to hang their heads, and it's okay. Learn from it, move on, and let's get ready for the next 2 and get ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, you can't dictate your season based on wins and losses. You got to base it on the process, on the journey, and as long as we're continuing to move this boat forward, then we're doing our job. And would we have liked to grab a couple more wins along the way? Heck yeah. I mean, that's way more fun. But at the same time, is if this boat's still moving, then we're doing the right thing until we get to March.
It was Billy Donovan. Yeah, I don't know, Chris, if you saw that clip or Coach. He was talking in some conference, and he had mentioned to a player who had bad shooting night. He was like 3 for 11. And he asked the guy, how many shots did you take? And he said 9. And he said, okay, how many seconds did it take you to shoot that shot? Probably 1 second. You were on the floor for 35 minutes, and you're going to let 9 seconds dictate your whole performance in the game. It's the long view of things, and that's what we're still in right now.
No doubt, absolutely. Fired up for it, too.
Davis, I tell myself that when I play golf. I wasn't that bad because I was actually swinging the club for about 3 minutes in the 4 hours I was out there
But it took you like
playing.
30 minutes to line up the shot, though.
That's right.
That was the thing.
Thanks for that, Davis.
Yeah, I want to shout out the fans, though, too.
Yeah.
I mean, the fans have supported really well here at the start of the season. Your message to them here is they've been pretty fired up here at the start of the basketball season.
Yeah, I mean, 3 years in, I think this has definitely been our best collection of fans, whether it be from the community members, from the students. We're seeing an increase every game, and, we're looking forward to Thursday night having a great crowd in that Elam Center.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Nick Ferris from the UT Martin Rifle Team now with us on Skyhawk Sports Talk here at Zaxby's in Martin, Tennessee. Davis Greger here. With me, Chris Brinkley, the UT Martin Rifle Team, getting their first win of the season, taking down the UAB Blazers. Nick, to your team and you, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Great performance in that one. 586 in air rifle, 575 in small bore. What was going well for you?
Yeah, it's not too bad. We had a good week of practice. I was sick and struggled, but we got through it, and our team really showed up, and I was happy to see that.
So practice, I think Ryan Minley made a video on that. What time does practice start for a rifle?
We like to practice in the morning, but this semester it's been 6 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in your sport, you really have to focus.
It is, yeah. I'm very mental.
So at 6 a.m., is it easier to focus or more difficult?
I wouldn't mind 9 o'clock.
Yeah, me
9
too.
o'clock, 9:30 would be
No,
good
but
for
I mean,
that.
most people early in the morning, you drink coffee. In your sport, you don't
Can't
need
do that.
caffeine,
No.
right? Yeah.
Caffeine, sugar makes you shake. We can't have that, so
Wow.
So what do you do in the morning to prep for practice then?
just try to get something in your system, eat and drink water, and mentally prepare yourself.
Just wake yourself
Yeah.
up the best that you can fully and get yourself ready to go. So a grand total of 1,161 points in this one. You're all OVC second team last year.
Right.
Talk about that jump from last year to this season.
Last year, it was, first season we wear these really precise custom-built suits, and, any gear change we make takes time to get used to, and that was just my first year with that equipment, and it really made an increase on my scores this year. We're just building off of that. It's a constant battle of adjustment, like trying to make everything as precise as possible, and the more you can figure it out, the better your scores get.
Yeah, I mean, your sport goes down to the minuscule details,
Right.
like basketball players have on their uniforms and probably forget they're even wearing a uniform when the ball is tipped. Explain to us what that process is like to try to figure out how do I perfect all of my surroundings, my mental ability, what I'm wearing.
Yeah, so you just have to, it's part of it's just part of what we do. You have to notice when something's off, something doesn't feel right. You might not know what it is, but you've got to notice when something's wrong and get out of position or change something. And changing, a half-inch adjustment on your rifle, that could make a huge difference.
Has that attention to detail carried over into your life?
It has, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's
It can
not.
be, yeah. It can be.
Yeah.
Don't want to overthink too much now.
Yeah,
but
right.
so you're
But Davis, how often are we walking through life thinking, how could I make this better? How could I make a little adjustment for things to be? I think some of us walk through life mindlessly, like we're sleepwalking. And in your sport, you can't do that.
No. I mean, it is present in every single moment, right?
Yeah, it is.
So what's the process for you? I mean, you talk about you're off by half an inch, you're missing something too high, too low. And what's the process in correcting that? And you said it, you don't even know what it is. And what's the process in figuring that out and getting it corrected as soon as possible?
Yeah, just a change in your position, something that's not repeatable. You'll be able to notice a shake, heartbeat, anything, throw you off target.
Heartbeat. He
Yeah.
said heartbeat.
Yeah, listen,
rest
whenever
your-
I'm on my ADD medicine, my heart rate goes up. So I mean, I can't even sit still at work. So I don't think rifle would be my sport at all. So figuring out rifle for you, when did that start that you thought, okay, I can do this collegiately, and when did you find a love for the sport?
Yeah, probably about age 15. I've always liked to shoot, but I started looking for more opportunity to teams and clubs and stuff to be a part of. And I found out at a camp in Camp Perry, Ohio, that there was a opportunity to shoot collegiately. It's not a huge collegiate sport, but I knew at that point that's what the goal was going to be. Whether or not at that point I could do it or not, but that was the goal. Work towards that for the next several years, and met UTM's old coach, which is Bob Beard,
Amazing guy.
up there.
Yeah.
And he's the one pointing me in the direction coming here.
And what was that pitch like to get a guy from Ohio down here to Martin,
Yeah.
Tennessee, in Northwest Tennessee?
So thankfully, I only was 3 hours away from where they held that camp, and his knowledge in the shooting sports, there's a lot of great coaches there, but he drew me to this school, and I've toured a couple others, but, I didn't want to be in the middle of a city. I wanted to be out somewhere like this in the rural. This campus fit me, and I'm glad this team. It's a good fit for me.
Well, thank you for coming to Martin, Tennessee.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And congratulations. Graduate with degree in management, correct?
Correct,
And
yeah.
currently working towards a master's degree in business administration. How is that going?
It's going good. It's different being completely online. There's not, option was either to do my classes on the weekend, which I can't do as an athlete,
Right.
or take them online. So that's what I'm doing.
Well, Nick, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Maggie Roy, track and field athlete here at UT Martin, also runs cross country and a very good meet this past weekend. Maggie down in up in Bellarmine in Louisville, Kentucky, PR'd the 3K at 10:30:80. Congratulations on that. Thanks for joining us as well.
Thank you.
So I want to go back to that meet, or actually let's go back to cross country season. Your time as a cross country athlete coming here, how did you think the season went for you and also for the rest of your team as well?
So I had a really good season. Compared to freshman year, I had a much better season. I kind of had a few breakthrough races and stuff. So I think it really went well for me, and for the rest of my team, I think it went well too. A few of them I was able to run with my new teammate Brooke, and she had some good races, and so she pulled me along a lot of the time. And yeah, everyone else did really good. We had some PRs, and so overall really successful, yeah.
And a pretty solid season. Now talk about this transition to track and field. We talked to head coach Jolyta Henderson about the transition that cross country makes with track and field. So from an athlete's perspective, can you tell us about that?
So for me, it really just means I'll be doing more workouts on the track. For cross country, since we're running on grass, we go to Martin Rec a lot, and we'll run around the grass and do stuff like that, and we'll do longer workouts and stuff. But for track, since I do mid-distance, I'll run like interval workouts on the track, and I'll use different shoes and stuff. So it really just, and the weather changes. It
Right.
really just comes to adjusting to little things like that. But overall, it's mostly the same types of workouts, just a little bit switched up.
When did you start running?
I started running in middle school.
Oh.
So I played soccer for like 10 years, but I was running with that so I could help with my asthma and stuff, and I don't really have that anymore.
You run
but-
and you had asthma?
Well, I played soccer, and I would get like asthma attacks playing soccer, so I was like, I need to do something
Yeah.
to help with these. And so I did cross country in middle school, and I was okay at it, so I just kept going. And then in high school, I met some friends, and we did that in high school too. And then I fell in love with it.
I'm
And then
impressed.
I stopped playing soccer because the coaching situation just ended up working where I had a really good cross country coach, so
Yeah.
I started doing that.
So in soccer, am I right, you run 3 to 5 miles maybe in a high school, college game?
For soccer?
Yeah.
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 I was running a lot. I was. That's
I
why
mean,
I
it's
was
a lot
getting
of
asthma attacks and that, and not running.
It's stop and go.
Yes,
right? It's
that's
a
so
different
my
kind of running.
Yes,
Yeah.
it really was. But I was playing center, midfield. And
I was about to ask what position.
I was playing wide mid and stuff,
Okay, so
so I
there
was
we go.
running a lot. Yeah, they wanted me to go get the ball and score, but
You were just,
that's
all right, guys.
I was
this
running
is
back and forth.
A
Yeah,
little too much right now.
Yeah.
This is too much.
but yeah.
So
yeah.
what was it like to go from a sport where you can defend people and collide with people
Mm-hmm.
to a sport where it was just you?
Well, at first, I would get really bored just running. And I would go back and forth, and I'd be like, I really want to play soccer right now. Like, this is so boring. And during soccer, I would get really tired of having to do that and running around people. Like, I just want to run and get a good time and then feel good and all that. So it was different. But now I've gotten used to it. I don't really miss soccer as much. But
Yeah.
I've had my time where I miss running into people. It was fun. I love soccer.
Yeah.
I can't even find the word. Just
What?
the.
I've never heard.
negatives
We've never
now.
had the words "I've missed running into people" on this
Yeah.
podcast. That's the first.
The miss of the physical sport of
Miss
soccer.
the physical part of soccer.
Hey,
yeah,
you're just
definitely.
running the 3K, you just throw an elbow out.
Oh
there
yeah, you
and
gotta
someone
do that
goes
too
down.
sometime though.
Some of those SEC schools, they deserve it too sometimes. I
Yeah.
mean, you just gotta throw an elbow out there.
You do.
Yeah, you gotta get
Stick your
spot.
left leg out there. give
Even
them a chip
now,
or
I don't
something
even
like
play
that.
sports, and I run into people all the time. It's just part of life.
It is. It is. So going back to high school, from Bartlett, Tennessee, how far away is Bartlett for those that don't know?
It's 2 hours.
2 hours away. Okay.
It's not bad.
North of Memphis.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
pretty
north
sure.
of Memphis, about 2 hours away. The decision to come here to UT Martin, we asked Nick about that. Why come over here to Northwest Tennessee?
Well, there was a lot of things that went into it. I had teammates. No, not teammates. I had rivals. Lydia, she still runs, and so she went here. And then I had we weren't on the team at the same time, but Luke also went here, and I think that kind of made me realize this could be a good school. It's a good, like, middle D1 school, kind of. Just, and I had a good scholarship.
But a much smaller town.
Yes, and I like the small town. I liked the nursing school also. So it was a
Okay.
lot of things that went into it, and after visiting, I really liked the team, and so compared to other schools I was visiting, I really liked this one the most. So that's why
I want to hit that. Why do you want to be a nurse? That's a big deal.
I would like to be a nurse because, well, it's like you always say the reason I like helping people. I feel like I would be good at being in charge of someone's life. Like, I would trust myself.
That's
like, I
huge.
would love
That
to.
is pretty big.
I would love to make a difference in people's lives, but I feel like I would be good at being in charge of someone like that. I don't know.
Did
It's
the
hard to explain.
pandemic make you want to be a nurse more or less?
Well, I had already made my mind kind of before it, but the pandemic changed a lot about nursing. And it really, when you're a nurse, the patient care is not the biggest issue about it. It's the other things that go around it, like the administration, and
Good
just
grief,
the
how old are you? You're
rules.
too wise.
You know.
Yeah. You know, you're right. You're right. All nurses. I come from a family of nurses, and they all say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the hard thing about it, but I want to do CRNA school. I want to go to higher education with nursing or be a NP or something. So we'll see if I make it that far. But
And
yeah.
so balancing nursing homework and nursing school
Yeah.
along with being a student athlete, that's got to be difficult too. How do you handle that?
Well, I had a lot of practice in high school. I did a lot of AP classes, not for really any reason. I've always been academically driven. So it hasn't been too bad yet. I'm actually less stressed right now than I
Yet.
was in high school. Yet.
Yet.
It
Yet
will
is
get
the
worse
big word right
junior
there.
year, and right now I'm kind of like, can I do this again? But I always stress about it, and I always end up being fine, and I just love school. I love the structure of it. I love running because there's so much more structure to it, and I know exactly what I'm going to be doing and when, so I can handle it okay. It gets a little stressful, but
Well, you know, but
yeah,
what I know is if you continued to play soccer because you had asthma, and then you said, you know what, I'm gonna double down and just run to help this, you can accomplish anything.
Yeah, it's the mindset.
I mean,
Yeah.
because you could have quit right then, the
Yeah.
first asthma attack you ever had on a soccer field, and you didn't. So
yeah,
you'll
I
be
test my
fine.
limits a lot with that kind of stuff.
No, you'll be fine. Whatever.
Pushing the boundaries,
Yeah.
always pushing the boundaries. So, last question for you here. What's one thing in cross country, track and field, running that you've carried over now into school and nursing, but also life as well?
That's a good question.
I stole that
Well-
one from Chris. Chris always asks
That's a
that
great
question.
question.
I was like, all right, I'm tossing that one
I'm
up.
trying to think of the word, but it's just being driven and determined to not give up on something when it's hard. It's not always going. It's the process you have to fall in love with, not the results or getting immediate results. That isn't going to be the case all the time. So it's really loving the process of things and just being in the moment. So
Didn't think I was going to get life advice.
No,
here.
that's good.
This was
it
fantastic.
really is.
because look,
I just
And she just said it. If life didn't have all these challenges, we would be bored out of our minds.
Oh, my gosh.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the fun part about it.
Hashtag trust the process.
That's right.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
But one Monday at 12 o'clock, I got you.
There we
You
go.
know, we
Bring
can
it
do
out
that.
here.
And Bryce got a podium finish here this past weekend.
Yeah, he
in,
did decent.
in the 60-meter hurdle.
He did
decent.
decent.
He did decent. Trying to keep him humble there
Yeah.
if he tunes into the
Yeah,
show.
he did all
Well,
right.
Coach Jolyta Henderson with Chris and I now here as we recap the Bellarmine Open. The
Yes.
Bellarmine Classic coming up here in a couple weeks, but going back to the Bellarmine Open, had several PRs, a couple podium finishes there as well.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a solid meet. Way better than Vandy. way better than.
So talk about that jump, that improvement. You're going up against SEC competition, Power 5 competition, and then in this one, what were you all up against and some of the improvements that happened?
Well, we still had good competition. I mean, let's be honest. Once the gun goes off, the gun goes off.
Right.
Like, it's not like football, basketball, stuff like that. You kind of got like match your opponent, be better than your opponent. It's like it's you by yourself and you in your lane. So if you take care of what you have to do, then you're fine. It really doesn't matter who's beside you. But yeah, it was very competitive meet. It was nice. It was actually bigger than what it was previous years. Like previously, we've won this meet like every year. Like we take top 10 in a 3K, like crazy stuff. This year we were like, no, we're gonna put people where we need to put them, and hopefully it's a bigger meet, and it was a bigger meet, and they did really well.
Good.
And the 1 mile group, very impressive on both
milers?
sides. So talk about
Yes. Let me tell you. First off, shout out to my assistant. Tony is doing
Shout
his
out, Tony.
thing. Yes, Tony
out,
Palacio
Tony.
is doing his thing with these milers right here. Well, actually with the whole distance crew. I've been very excited. They look good. They look fresh, and it's like, wow, like what's next, you know? So I've been very excited about that. It looks like our team is more on a equal playing field. Like distance isn't like like a whole lot better than the sprints, and sprints aren't a whole lot better than this. It's like okay, we're even across the board, which is what you want. But yeah, they went out, they ran the way they were supposed to run, and I was like, okay.
good.
I was excited the whole race. I was like, okay,
there
I'm
were
in tune.
multiple top 15 finishes on
Yes,
both sides,
yes.
and then the PRs. You had, I think, 3 on the women's side, 3 or 2 on the women's side, and then 6 on the men's side. It was really a collective group, just well done by the team. And then in the 3K too.
Yeah.
And we just had Maggie on. She had a PR there. Hudson performed well, and Angus too.
Yeah, most definitely. So the crazy thing is, we'll let you in on a little secret.
Oh, here we go.
The mid-distance group, which is like the milers and 800s, they haven't done any speed work yet. So in the sense of like just running like super fast, they've just been doing a lot of aerobic stuff. And they already ran that fast? You know how crazy that is?
Good.
Like put a little speed on them.
Yeah.
We're ready for conference.
I want to go to your lingo, your terminology. Do you call them the milers?
The milers.
Yeah. So what are some of
So
the other
they're
words?
mid-distance.
Mid-distance.
So mid-D, the mid-D group, you got 800 milers, 1,500, those people. Yeah. And then you got distance, which is 3K and above.
Okay.
And then you have sprint crew, which is anything 400 and below.
Okay.
And then jumps, hurdles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm learning something.
We talked about
So
Bryce.
what was the aerobic exercise though? What kind of aerobic exercise were they doing?
Well, they haven't. I'm saying like in general, like their workouts haven't been. They've been aerobically based in the sense of like they do like longer distance, like mileage and stuff like that. They haven't done anaerobic stuff, which is when you like actually start to sprint.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And we talked about Bryce finishing podium there in the 60-meter hurdles. Also, Leisha McKenzie performing well in that one, got 4th as well, just 1 spot away from that podium finish too. Talk about their performances there in the hurdles.
They did decent. I'm gonna say they did decent. There's so much more in both of them that I'm just waiting on it to come out, and hopefully with this week of them being off and not having to compete, I can amp up their volume a little bit, give them a little bit more hurdles than they've had, so then they'll be ready.
And the 4x400 relay, 2nd place.
My men's 4x4 missed the school record by like 0.0 something milliseconds. Like, let me tell you how bad. I was like, what are y'all doing? No, it was crazy. No, they missed it, and none of them are fit, if that makes sense. Like, none of them are like 400 ready. They won't be 400 ready until the Vandy meet before conference. And they still almost broke the school record, which hasn't been broken in a while. So, yeah.
And school records being broken all across the board for the past couple meets, too. And in this one, though, too, no school records, but still PRs and then podium finishes, too. How do you look to continue and build on this momentum going into this off week?
Well, see, like I've told y'all before, track is up and down, up and down. You don't want to keep going up, so it makes me a little nervous. You know, when these kids are doing really good, you're like, ooh, what they gonna do next, or are they gonna do bad? Like you
a
know,
nervous
like
excitement.
Yeah. So like, okay, so Lisha and Bryce both, you know, scored in top 5 and stuff like that, but it wasn't their best. Like, it wasn't their best race. I'm okay with that. You know, like you compete well, but you don't race well. That's fine. Because when it both clicks, you're about to be great. You're a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't have her on the notes, but Rita has performed well the past 2
Yes.
meets. Talk about her.
Rita, first off, Rita's in clinicals right now because she was supposed to be on the show. I was like, Rita, we got to get you up there. Like, girl, you've been slaying it on the track. For her, I wholeheartedly believe she's older, like she's a junior now. It's clicking. She's navigating school and track. You know, like she's in the nursing program, but it's like, okay, like I know it, and she does ROTC. Like she's navigating everything. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This girl needs to be up here. Yeah. So
wow.
For her, I think she's just getting older, and her confidence level is going up.
So in your sport, in all sports, there's this magic place where your mentality meets your physical ability, and that's probably when you're going to peak. And I think I've heard for basketball, it's like 27. I forgot what it is for baseball, but when your vision starts going, obviously you're not as good just because you need good vision.
Yeah.
In your sport, and I know it's going to be older than your athletes, but when can you physically peak, or is there a number?
Honestly, there isn't. There isn't one. It's all about training age, and genetics.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
Like, genetics plays a really big role. Like, I have a kid on the team that's very talented, but it's kind of like if you put a Corvette engine inside of a Prius.
Yeah.
Like, it's just going to blow up.
Yeah.
So, like, he has all this power and stuff inside of him.
Yeah.
But he can't actually physically get it out because he's so small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we've heard, in genetics, you're talking about lung capacity. Like, there's all these little things that aren't obvious.
Yeah. Even height, so if you have higher calves versus lower calves, it makes a difference in, like, which events you do. If you have a longer torso, shorter torso, like, it's a lot. So, like, literally, genetics plays a big factor. Like, at some point, I go, you know what? I'm not God and I can't help you anymore. Like, it's serious. Like, it's serious. Like, it's like hard to do that because, like, other sports, basketball, go dribble some more, go shoot some more. Like, Kevin is the shot god. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can fix you. He can fix you. I can only fix form, but so much. Once you have perfect form, like, genetics just comes into it, and I really can't help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're only as fast as you can go. It is.
Yeah.
And that's as fast as you get. You are topping out.
I don't know what else to do for you.
I don't ever want you to see the two of us run.
Oh, no, absolutely not. No. I don't do running. I've taken a page out of my mom runs and walks on the treadmill every morning at like 4.
Yeah.
She would be perfect for practice. She would go out there and run. Yeah. She would. Shout out to my mom.
Yes.
Shout out to Karen. She's great.
I tore my patellar tendon a few years ago, so that's a really
excuses over here.
I know, right?
Come on.
Genetics and injuries.
So training this week, how much more is it going to be ramped up compared to, I guess, later on in the season and maybe even a little bit before as you all got started?
This week, it's kind of crazy to say it defines the season, but this week is a big pivotal moment in our season. This week I can give you everything because we compete again next weekend, and then we compete again the next weekend, and then we get weekend off, and then we have conference in the middle of the week. So this week means so much, and it's crazy to even think that because I'm like, dang, I got 2 meets left. So
and it's like the cross country is going by so fast.
It does go by so fast.
And you have a meet, whereas cross country it's about a week in between, maybe 2 weeks in between. It's boom, 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 and you got to be ready for it. And then ring season now.
Yeah,
it's
most
ring
definitely.
time.
Yeah.
Did you run in the below zero temperatures?
Yeah, that was running in snow.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I would tap out there.
People were falling on campus, and we had people running, in the snow. So
I saw that. It made me a little nervous.
They put the ice spikes in the shoes. That's what they did.
Yeah,
the ice spikes.
They're good.
Okay.
They're good. Right. As long as they have the proper posture, they'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
maybe we could learn something.
Yeah,
it's all about the footing. It's all about the footing.
Maybe we could. Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Davis Greger here with me, Chris Brinkley, and now joining us, head coach Kevin McMillan of the UT Martin women's basketball team.
Sorry, I already screwed your show up.
No, it's
had us all laughing.
We were just talking about during the break that I had to compliment Coach McMillan that he's out of all the coach side texts, Jolyta, Coach Ritter, out of everybody I text back first, it is always Coach McMillan that texts back first. Yeah. And he has the flip phone, as we knew on one of our episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, it is instant, always punctual.
There you go.
Incredibly punctual. Have you ever been late for anything? I mean, you're not late. And if you are late, you'll say, I'm running 5 minutes behind.
No, I was taught that.
I mean, me too.
Early is on time.
Early, and if somebody takes the time to ask you a question, you stop and you respond. I mean, that's just how I was raised, and I guess it's flown flowed over into text messages too. I guess.
So your dad was a lawyer.
Yes.
Tough guy. Your mom, how do we define your mom?
My
She's
mother was a
everything.
Communications professor.
There
So
you
let's
go.
think about my household. If I wanted to argue with my parents, I got a communications professor for a mom, and I got a lawyer for a dad.
Yeah.
You think you're going to win any of that? Just tuck your head and go on.
That's probably how you got built up with the arguing with officials and winning there.
Well, I know. Yeah,
you trained well.
Just tuck your head and go on.
I think he rarely really. I mean, I'm amazed. People think that you get technicals. You don't. I mean, you're the
you
most
really don't.
diplomatic, easy-going coach that I think.
Can't tell you the last technical that I had.
Yeah.
I really can't.
It's been years.
I can't even remember. I mean, I was here since 2019.
I remember I got the one that jumped in my head, and I think there's been one since then. But we were at Missouri, and they made a horrendous call on Chelsea, and I was standing right by the scores table, and I just leaned back and sat on the scores table, didn't say a word, and got a technical.
Really?
And I thought, okay, like I watched a couple of games yesterday. Allie and I sat there and watched games. It was cold. We didn't do anything. I saw coaches running on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I saw cuss words towards officials that I would, and they don't get anything.
I know.
And I sat down on a table and got a technical.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I really wish I could do what those guys do.
If your life would have taken a different path and you would have been an official at the NCAA Division I level, you would have been successful, but what kind of official would you have been?
I would have called the game like it's intended. They talk about the points of emphasis.
Mm-hmm.
I would look at them and go, what? What? Okay, we have a rule book. What do we need a point of emphasis for?
Every rule
should be emphasized.
Yeah.
And so I would not let – I would call the game the way that I think it was created to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I don't know. And I would be stubborn. But I would like to think that I would be consistent and fair. I would like to think that. But, again, who knows? My daughter was asked about that yesterday during game. She said, golly, being a referee's tough.
Yeah.
It is very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard. But not in the OVC, but in the Missouri Valley up to the SEC, they get paid really well.
That's right.
For it to be tough.
That's right.
I asked there was an official that started out in the OVC with me in my first year. It was her first year. And she's now in the Missouri Valley. That's her low league up to the SEC. And we were playing Murray, and I asked her. She was running by me one time, and I said, Gina, how much do you get paid? And she came back down and she said, seriously? I went, yeah. I mean, how much do you get paid for the Missouri Valley now? And she said, I get $2,200 a game.
Wow.
Okay, we pay like $800.
Yeah.
And then I said, seriously? She said, yes. And for the SEC, we now get $5,000 a game.
Wow.
And I went,
wow.
Okay, let's see if I could referee.
Wow. Yeah, no, you could. You could do well. But the weird thing is we have a shortage of officials, particularly at the high school level. So
yes.
I don't know how this is going to trickle down and make it more and more difficult to get officials at our level.
Well, it used to, when I first started coaching, which was a long, long, long time ago, we had plenty of officials. And by and large, Jerry Carpenter used to bring the group out of Northwest Tennessee and do our region tournament down in Millington. And I'm telling you, the officials were phenomenal. Roy Deal, he would come down there, and Jerry would come down there. Who all was that group?
Fred Ivey, Gene DeArmont. I can remember some they were part of that.
Who was oh my gosh, Bethel athletic director. Come on.
Oh yeah, Kelly. No.
Nope. Jeez, I'm looking right at it.
Say it.
Brad Chappell.
No.
I can see him too.
He's about 5'10", and he's bald-headed. And Glenn Hayes.
Glenn Hayes.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And
outstanding.
Outstanding officials. And they used to come down there. And there were some really, really good. The best official I've ever seen in my life, ever, was named Michael Prude. and he was a high school referee, but he also refereed college down in Memphis, Millington area, and people would come to games to watch him officiate.
Wow.
He was so demonstrative, and he was such a show that people would come to the games to watch him. But what was so funny was it was never about him. He was such a great official. He could do his stuff, but the game, it's like it worked. There's a picture with me and him in the commercial appeal that came out where a girl had stepped out of bounds at our bench, and I'm either pointing at it or he's coming over. He dove on the floor and's patting like this on the floor and pointing at that spot.
Yeah.
And then puts the ball that way. And I'm down there looking at him like, and it got snapped. But that was him. He would blow his whistle, and I know the people can't, those that are on the podcast can see. For a travel sometimes, if it wasn't bad, he would blow the whistle and he'd go, and you just barely do his fingers.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And I guess we'll go ahead and we'll get to the
Yeah,
mailbox.
let's do that.
I mean,
We
we
only
have
have a couple
time.
minutes
We,
left,
and
yeah.
we have a couple questions here. So one came in. This one was from Twitter, or X, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
So everyone knows Coach McMillan has the flip phone. Do you print directions or do you keep an atlas in the car?
Am I going like I'm going somewhere I've never been before?
Yeah.
If it depends, I will either print directions or I do. My truck has the little GPS in it, so if I do know, I
okay.
could put it in there.
There you go.
That's what I said.
But I have a really good sense of direction. So after I've done something once, I don't need
You're
the
good to go.
GPS to do it a second time.
Right, I was about to
So I
say,
guess
if
I
the
would.
flip phone had the flashlight and the GPS, I was going to lose it. That was
No,
gonna
it's just
be
got
weird.
the flashlight.
It's
Doesn't
just
have
got the
GPS.
flashlight.
Can
Okay.
I ask question 3 real fast?
Yes.
So COVID did something or the pandemic now, coaches don't have to wear suits and ties. Is that okay? You good with
Absolutely.
that? You're good with
You're
that?
perfect
Do
with
you
that?
think it'll ever happen again? Well, no.
I don't.
Yeah.
Top 3 basketball movies
You have 30 seconds.
in your mind.
Hoosiers definitely number one.
Yeah.
The Woody Harrelson Champion movie,
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
number 2.
Okay, good.
And then probably Glory Road would be number 3.
Glory Road
Nice.
would be 3.
Okay.
Favorite road trip snack?
Penn Station.
The subs. The subway.
Yes, there's no question about that. My whole staff's over. They know that. If we're near a Penn Station, you better give me something for Penn
Going
Station.
to the Penn Station.
Thank you, Coach.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
guys.
all the time that we've got. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. And to all of our coaches for coming on and joining us. Chris, anything before we sign off?
No, it's a great day. Thanks to Zaxby's for having us, and go Skyhawks.
And we sign off from Zaxby's. Davis Greger here with me, Chris Brinkley, and for all of our coaches, God bless, and we'll see you next Monday.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.